is Olufunke, and you're welcome to Observers with Olufunke. On this episode, I have an amazing person here with me. His name is Uchenna Moses, and is currently the SU president of Bolton University. So I'm happy to bring him here on this show. Uchenna Moses, welcome to this show. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for the opportunity, because I know it's not easy having you on this show by this time. You know, it's not very easy, and I really appreciate you. The first time I met you, you showed that you are a good person, very supportive, and sometimes I am amazed.
Thank you, Luke Funke, for having me in your Hope series. Going through your YouTube handle, I've been seeing the amazing work you're doing, and when I got your invite, I felt I think it's worth it. But how you got to know that I'm amazing is still surprising to me.
No, seriously, you're amazing. It's not everyone that can be SU president and still give their times and support to every student that comes in. You know, I've been here several times and I see the way you attend to students. And I know the first time I came here to come and tell you about this show, you were very supportive.
Sometimes in life, our actions depends on, mostly on us, and sometimes on the support we have received. Coming to the United Kingdom as an international student and having to see the peculiarity, the difference in the set of challenges international students have, which is one of the things that spurred me into taking up the role as Student Union President, and then how, the kind of support the university itself, the University of Bolton, even though most times my friends in Nigeria think it's University of Boston, it's University of Bolton. The kind of support they offer to students as well. So,
Okay, thank you.
The support you receive and who you are.
Yeah, thank you. I can get. Okay, so on this show, we'll go straight to the questions, and
sure. I hope I don't talk too much.
No. Okay, so we'll go straight to the question, and the first question is, can we meet you? Who is Uchenna Moses?
My name is Uchenna Victor Moses.
Okay.
Victor Uchenna Moses. Anyone, however you want to call it. I am Nigerian. I used to back then in Nigeria, I always tell people I'm Nigerian because I've never really been an advocate of the state of origin thing. I think it's one of the things that brings, that barrier, that segregation amongst us Nigerians. As Student Union President, I'm president for all students, whether you're Asian, British, whether you're from Bangladesh, whatever part of the world you are, I'm Student Union President for you. So I observe, for most Nigerians who are coming in new, sometimes when they want to introduce themselves to me, they'll tell me, oh, my name is Victor, because they hear my native name and know what part of Nigeria I'm from. They want to start by telling me their state of origin before their name. Most times, if you ask most of the students, I always pause them and tell them, I don't need your state of origin. I just need to know that you're a student of the University of Bolton, and I'm committed to serving you and helping you have the best of student experience here. So that's me, and I'm married to my wife Esther, and we have a son, Carlos. I want to have just one kid, even though my wife doesn't agree with me, and we've not settled it now because she feels we should have 2 or 3. But I think 1 is okay for me. I love girl childs, but fortunately for me, I wouldn't say unfortunately, I have a son. That was my wife's first request. But if I had a girl child, then no debate. We're not having any other child again. We're 5 boys, so we don't have a girl. Actually, I don't have a sister.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can get.
Yeah, from my mom, just have 5 boys. That was why I wanted to have a girl child. So, I was a project manager in Nigeria with Caesar Sys Resources Limited. We worked with the major World Bank assisted projects, NUMA, CSDP, RAMP, the list is endless. And we were major contractors as well. We supplied, procured goods and services. We're into building. So I was a senior project manager there. Most times I'll be coordinating several trainings across different parts of Nigeria. My job gave me that exposure to almost all the states in Nigeria. We've done trainings or we've built something or the other in most of the states in Nigeria. So I did a lot of traveling. And in fact, that was the job that changed my life. Getting the job it was not as juicy as the other interviews I had done for. But the process of the job, I am always grateful. I had that experience. And I decided to go further, progress further in my career because I had a BSc in chemistry. So I felt like I needed something related to management. Wow, doing so research. And that's how I got to research and questioning. I met friends who knew Bolton, University of Bolton. Then referred me to University of Bolton. When I had a look at their course modules comparing to other universities of Bolton, the fact that it fit into my budget and it's a lovely place to start with us. So that is it. And now, after studying, I decided to run for the post of CNC. Interestingly, when I was running for the post of CNC, I used to share with my friend, my very good friend, we finished together in international management. How I had to sponsorship letters in my bag, looking for, trying to go for this position came up and told me that's not the right step for me. Why don't you just go straight to, you finished, you should. I felt that I should make impact. The experiences I have gotten as student union president wouldn't have been the experiences I would have, or the kind of experience I would have gotten if I was working somewhere else. It's a unique experience. This 1 year, a month, 1 year in June, it has taught me a lot in terms of doing community building, service building, giving back to the university, and putting my investing back to the students, to the programs, initiatives that I have privileged to work on as president. So, I mean, it has been a very beautiful time. That's me. I hope I don't talk too much.
And, okay, so let me move to the next question. The next question is, Ushina Moses. Like, I want to know if you like, do you always have it?
That's an interesting question. Before I go forward, I would like to say for every Nigerian who have come to school in the United Kingdom, you're actually not poor. To afford your flight ticket again, your flight ticket is someone's annual salary in Nigeria. Your flight ticket, the visa fees, and everything put together, you're actually not suffering in Nigeria.
Yeah.
Sincerely, you are actually not a poor person. You're doing fine, and you can afford not just the basic things in life, you can afford a comfortable life if you can migrate to the UK, Canada, US, or whatever country. You're wealthy. So that's to correct the impression that maybe people are migrating because they are hungry. No, that's not it. There are several other things. You can talk of security, you can talk of quality of life. If you have the money, you can choose to say, this is what I want for myself. This is what I want done.
Quality education.
Exactly what I want to enjoy. So for me, I wouldn't say it's been all that smooth. I am grateful. I'm glad that this is an interview of Uchenna Victor Moses, so you get to know me personally, my personal belief, my personal opinion, which is quite different when I'm in the seat of student union president, where my opinions don't count, my personal belief don't count. You know why? Because I represent everybody and I stand for everybody. But this is a personal one. This is home now. So I can say who I am, what I believe, and what I stand for. But it does not contradict my professional role as student union president. Yeah. So my dad used to be a professional cook for a white man. Several of them, but the one I could remember was a man from Swiss. Was his last job. He has worked with so many whites growing up. Permit me to use that word, white, yeah. He used to work with Swiffer Nigeria Limited, a drug producing company. Sorry. So they produce medicines such as Suida, Fancida, those popular drugs those days. So I would say he was making a lot of money then. Yeah, because we're comfortable. We're going to the best schools in Lagos until he made I consider it some unwise decisions. I remember when his boss was about to leave and asked him, what would you want to do next? What can I do for you? And then my mom, being my mom was actually more educated than my dad. Yeah, so my mom was like the financial planner, the brain behind the family, while my dad had the opportunity, but didn't have the education as my mom. But at that point, my dad made some unhealthy, unwise decision, deciding to move back or to relocate from Lagos to Abia. My mom thought it wasn't the right time, that he should first, establish his business in Lagos that would have, sustained the kind of lifestyle we had. Because years after that wrong decision, people never believed that I lived in Ikeja. Especially when I told them we used to live at Ajisafia Street, Isaac John Street in Lagos. So people never believed, looking at how things have changed because of a wrong decision my dad made. So my dad was paid a lot of money. At that time, millions had real value. I mean, Naira had real value then. So my dad had the option of building a hotel, a guest house in Lagos. But he said no, he opted. Imagine how much that property would have appreciated over time. He went home, and then still, because he was still in that wrong decision he made, he got wrong advisors. He was no longer paying attention to my mom, which is as couples, you should always work together.
Yeah,
as a couple, yeah. And then the money finished. It was now an introduction, a welcome party into poverty pro max. It was a hell of a life. And do you know that at the point in our lives, this the white boss my dad worked for spoke to my dad, requesting his permission to adopt I and my younger brother.
Wow.
That was years back. I mean, life would have been completely different now. But I just thank God. I thank God for his faithfulness and mercies. I mean, I'm a believer, I'm a Christian. Dr. Abel Damina is my pastor. He used to say something. He said, God's guidance is like the Google map. If you're driving and you fail to pass through the right direction it's given to you, even when you make a mistake, it doesn't tell you, you've done wrong, you've messed up. It tells you redirecting. It tells you redirecting. If you miss it 50 times, the end point for Google Map is redirecting. It will always take you back to your destination. Now, in human terms, it will cost you time. Because if you should have reached there in 8 minutes, you're reaching there maybe in 1 hour because you're not paying attention. God is so faithful. In fact, painting God as a monster is actually the misunderstanding and misconception we have in our minds, far away from the true knowledge of God. that aside for another discussion. So it was hard and tough. We are the village at this time in Abia State. I was born in Lagos, grew up in Lagos, did up to my just to my dad went back to Abia State. We broke and sold palm kernel to survive.
Wow.
We peeled egusi.
Wow.
It's hard life for kids. My younger ones hawked granuts.
Wow.
At that point, it was terrible. But one thing kept me, vision. I remember those times I would go and be cutting. If I see newspaper adverts of universities, places I would love to. That was a habit I developed. I will cut it and I'll put it in my pocket. I was just praying that as little as I was then, that this is where I want to be. But life was hard. At the point we went, there was no food. We had to go hunting. As little as we were then, we had to go hunting. So we'll carry cutlass, we'll go to the bush. Because if you don't do it, you won't eat. There was no means. And there's a picture I can never forget in my life. I remember it every day. How I nearly cut off my younger brother's hand. Because while we saw the hole, the animal hole, we used to call it bushmeat in Nigeria, So he said, "Oh, look at it," as I lifted up the cutlass, to, hit the animal. I cut my brother's hand.
Wow.
What saved me was that the cutlass was blunt, so the effect didn't go too much. But I cut his vein, it was bleeding. What I should have done was to stop the bleeding. But at that moment, I was caught with the horror of what would have happened if that knife was extremely sharp. At that moment, I would have cut off my brother's hand completely and lived with that guilt for the rest of my life. So I wasn't paying attention to stopping the bleeding. I was thinking of the horrible thing that would have happened. I still remember that picture as if it was last minute, and it really hurt me. I sold Gary.
Wow.
I sold granuts. I used to go and do private lesson teaching. And God being so kind, at that point, most of my clients were wealthy. And they would pay me. In fact, they took me as their son, a part of their family, and would take care of my family's feeding.
Wow.
Such that I automatically, for each client, I meet, which I still keep in touch with them till today, seeing my progress over from that time till now, they are happy because they could see that this boy is bright, but circumstances are quite different just because of the wrong decision my dad made. So, life was tough and horrible. I was senior prefect when I was in secondary school, just like what you call student union president here in the university level. And I was the only student, I was the only prefect in my time that was driven back home because of school fees. So such a shame.
I imagine,
And at the time in my life, my dad rode bike. He was a bike man. So when I come to school, I used to hide it because I was ashamed of it. At the point, I couldn't be ashamed of it any longer because that was how we're using to fit. So why should I be ashamed? Or I was ashamed because of the class of students who were my friends. They were all wealthy men. They were people. There's what we call Parents Teachers Association in Nigeria, and their parents would give huge amount of money. But I was a senior prefect, but I wasn't in their class. Till one day, they didn't make there's a senior prefect, and then there's a deputy senior prefect who is always a female, a lady. There's a guy, there's a lady, a Nigerian setting. So she made mockery of me one time with my friends under a tree and said, "Victor's dad drives a bike." As a child then, that was a huge one for me, but I said, that's life, that's my path. I'm not in a race with anybody. So it was hard. At the point, my dad opened a restaurant, and that restaurant became our home, and everything, source of livelihood. And we used to go to the nearby forest to either hunt and get, there's what they call cocoa yam in Nigeria. Yeah. That was our food for years. We used to go into the bush and just harvest it. Funnily, interestingly, we meet people who tell us this species kills. It is harmful. What did we know as children then? We just take it and eat. And even cassava, you can't boil cassava raw and eat. But there was a time in our life where that was our food. We boil cassava as raw as it is. If you want to make other kind of meal from it, you have to either soak it for some time because of the high level of acidity before you eat. But we boiled it like yam because that was the only thing that was available, and we ate it, at that time. So it was, I used to call it poverty pro max. We suffered hell, seriously. We suffered hell. And thank God my mom at that point, someone might call it being stubborn, but it helped us. My mom refused to go back home with my dad. It didn't end the marriage. It didn't stop the marriage, but my mom thought that was not the wise decision, the right decision. My mom stayed back, got a job, continued her life, and her prayer every day was to reunite with us. It was a tough time for her, and a tough time for the family. I didn't have the best childhood growing up because that's the reason why I love children. That's one thing that made me fond of children. If you bring kids around me here, and I build my home around them because I love to give them that part of life that I didn't enjoy. So it was either living with one auntie or one uncle who might not treat you as a family member or treat you as an outsider. So it affected me in several ways. It's not few years back that I began to consciously deal with the effects of not growing up with my parents for a long time. For a space of 15-20 years, I lived outside my mom and my dad in the quest to survive with one uncle, one auntie, one family member, this and that, and all the experiences. Sometimes I wouldn't even have the boldness or courage to go for what I wanted because I felt like a second-class person. That sense of being a mediocre. So it made my reactions became either extreme or zero. What other people would just see it as natural or normal, I'm overreacting because I didn't know how to balance my emotions again, which is not good for a child that is growing up. It's absolutely not good because it has an after effect. Not everyone gets to understand your story to know how to deal with you. That's the reason why I am an advocate of first impression is not the parameter to judge people. I mean, people are going through a lot. It's not everybody that knows how to deal with what they are going through. You understand? Everybody should be dealt, based on their unique challenges. But who has the patience this time? That's the reason why you need to work on yourself consciously. So it was tough, but that phase came, and it was time to go to the university. And thank God my mom stayed back because she was now able to financially take care of us. So there was a migration of myself and all my siblings, leaving my dad, coming to my mom. I mean, the effect psychologically is still there. It depends on how each of us we are dealing with it now. And then I got to university, reunited with my mom again. I was happy. Not as much as, as much comfort as it used to be from the start, where we're, posh kids to where I nearly cut off my brother's arm to survive. So, got to the university, did my 100 level second year, till one day I came back home and I saw my mom's pay slip. My mom gave me a good impression on how to treat ladies with respect. My mom had the option to dump the marriage and remarry. That restraint of not doing that, taught me strong moral lessons. Taught me how to. My mom gave me the foundation to respect women a lot. I'm an advocate for gender equality. I believe men and female. I believe all genders are equal. I believe everybody should have equal opportunity, equal access. I don't believe anybody is more superior to anybody. So I came back home one day and I saw her pay slip, and when I saw the pay and imagined 5 boys under her, I knew that this is a superwoman that was just trying to put up being superwoman. We were her savings and investments. She didn't have any savings and investments. So at that point in my life, I made a vow not to collect any money from her again. I schooled in the north while she was in Lagos then. She didn't know about all this, but the moment I moved back to school, I never came back home again.
Wow.
Till I finished school. I found my way around, did part-time. Yes, she contributed majorly to my school fees, but you see, allowances. I never took a dime from her again. I decided to go work hard for myself. I was teaching. Sometimes I'll work in hospitality. I'll just do every work that's legal. I didn't involve myself in any illegal thing. And I finished university, moved to Abuja. I was looking for a job. So it was still the hustling life, until I got the job that changed my life. Finishing in biochemistry, I started looking for jobs. I was targeting business development because while in uni, I started up a project. That is the reason why you shouldn't look down on any experience you have in life, especially as an entrepreneur or be it in volunteering or whatever. My school, I started up the first, the Made in a University magazine.
Okay.
It never existed before. So I put together a team, sold my ideas. I made sure I chose wealthy students, students who I knew their parents were wealthy. I mean, I had the ideas and the brain, but I didn't have the money. So I thought I can have it by having friends whose parents are wealthy. So I carefully, and that team, I've built a long-lasting relationship till today. Because when I sold my idea to them, they loved it. And interestingly, I got 2 multinationals to support the bid, even while I had not gotten the university's approval to, kickstart. When I sold the idea to Skybank, then Skybank, which is now, I think, Polaris Bank. I don't know if they are still the Polaris till now.
Polaris.
Yeah. And then Ethel, they bought into my idea. And we did it in such a way that businesses on campus, I mean, that was a multi-million naira project that would have set me, on track for life if it had worked. But I had a challenge with the student union of my university then. The president, a lady, I spent 3 months. That was during a break. I should have gone home to work and make money, but I stayed back just to fix an appointment, which is one of the reasons why when I became president, I scrapped having to book an appointment to see me, as long as it's not written on my door in a meeting, walking 3 good months just to see this lady.
Wow.
And sell my idea to her. Because when I met our sponsors, they told us you are an individual student body. Not that we don't trust your idea. We're ready to back you. We're ready to support you financially. But we need to see it coming either from the student union or in collaboration with the student union. So it was tough meeting them. I mean, they had the opportunity to make my dream come true and get famous and get wealth, because it would have been teamwork. But these guys frustrated my vision. While pursuing that course, I had a carryover. The first carryover I had in university, I was depressed. I I lost that vision and drive, and I gave up. It was painful. But I loved what I learned during the process. Going to sell my idea to little businesses, big businesses. I mean, I was studying biochemistry. I didn't know that skill will pay off someday. I had my friends who were wealthy, who stayed back to that period for fitting comfort because they believed in the dream. Countlessly, we wrote to the VC. It was, very difficult to see the VC.
Nigerian setting.
Nigerian setting is not, no. I just hope a lot of things change. But see, today, I have that access. I speak with my VC. I have time with him and he listens. I've initiated several ideas. Interestingly, one day, the SecGen in the union then saw my post on Facebook and he made a comment. I'll try and get it. I'll see if I can still find it. He made the comment, and one of my colleagues then in the team reached out to me when he saw that comment. He said he was that when he saw it, he didn't know, he felt emotional. He said, had I known that you had this kind of dream and vision, I regret not supporting you. Can you imagine? I would have supported you then. That's such is life. That's why I say first impression is not always the criteria to judge. There should be countless impressions. That's how God deals with us. If God dealt with us with first impression, we wouldn't be alive.
That's true.
So, and then I gave up, lost track. I graduated. And then I realized that biochemistry shouldn't have been the course I studied in a country like Nigeria.
Oh my gosh.
And although some of my classmates who just pursued scholarship, got scholarship in US, Russia, but at that point in my life, I was not even focused on getting a scholarship. I was focused on surviving.
Can get.
So, and then interestingly, I met a recruiter. I got in contact with a recruiter, and he helped me with my CV, putting those skills together. It takes courage to get people to subscribe for your business, even when there's no clear agenda that this will work, just by the way you sold your plans. That was business development. That was marketing. And then I got an interview. My first, I got series of interviews, unfortunately. And then I got one in a big consulting firm, business development firm. Getting to the office and everything, I was wowed. I said, this is the place I want to be. And then it was 3 stages of interview. I got disqualified in the 3rd stage. But amazingly, I was the not so qualified candidate among other people because, man, this had years in business experience. It's just biochemistry and my the skill set, trying to put up that magazine. And then they asked me in the first stage of the interview. It was not questions and answers, test. It was real life scenarios. It's a business development firm. They just gave us paper and book. What will you add to this company? I've done my research on the company already and what they do. They went to real estate, several projects, consulting, training, and all the rest of them. And then I suggested an idea for them. I made a mistake. I should have done a copyright or something. So when they read the idea, they called me back for the meeting. They were not looking at my biochemistry again. They were looking at the way I put what I wrote down. It was an idea on real estate. How they could maximize everything within, the same settings to make profit. They called me for the 2nd round to explain what I had written. But then in the 3rd round, one that disqualified me was I had bright ideas, but I didn't know how to bid for contracts. The normal bidding process and everything. I didn't have that skill. I've never done it before. So when they were asking me, from the idea, they thought for you to have done this issue. So when they were asking me questions on necessary documents required for bidding, I couldn't answer. I was, that was where I got disqualified. But I wish they understood that if they had given me the training,
Yeah.
I would have done. But I got home crying, depressed, sad, and I then got a call from the recruiter again that there's another interview. They want to see you now. So I was thinking I was going to face a board as well, dressed fine, got there. It was just the MD. So the MD just looked at me, he sat me down, and he asked me, that was a senior project management role in disguise.
Wow.
But he told me what he needs is a marketing intern. Basically, I would just be like his PA and, do some email stuff, calls and all the rest. I didn't know he just I don't know what his criteria was, but I'm glad I took that job. It changed my life. That was here the connections. The dots started to fill again. So he told me, what's your business experience? Then I shared the magazine story with him. He looked at me, because it's not easy to get multinationals to want to support you. When I told him the story, he was thrilled at the courage I had, especially doing biochemistry, and he could see for it, because I set up a Facebook group then as far back as 2013, 2014, that has over how many thousand students, still active now, even though I left as admin when I got depressed, which I regret. So he took me in, and then I was learning on the job. He asked me the same question, do you know how to bid for contract? I said no, but I'm willing to learn. The next Monday, then we talked about the pay. It wasn't something I wanted to. I said, please, can you increase it for my transport sake? He said, no, that's all. I didn't know that I had entered something, a salary increment for every 3 months in a long while, till one day when he broke the news to me and told me that he's amazed at how far I'm growing in the company, that this is my new role that came with a lot of, perks, traveling with my wife, accommodation, to my marriage being sponsored by my boss. I mean, life changed. Life changed. So I had money, and I could take care of my mom now. So let me stop there. So we go to other questions.
Okay. From your story so far, I learned a lot, which is hard work doesn't kill, right? Hard work doesn't kill. I was following the story gradually. I can see someone was really hardworking, and the fact that you have a vision. You mentioned that you have a vision, and that is very, 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 very important, because if you don't have a vision, and I think it started from the fact that you were cutting pictures of where you want to be, all those things. So if you don't have a vision, sometimes it's not always easy to progress. If you don't have a vision, it's not always easy to move forward, and at a point someone might just lose that hope, because the fact that you think tomorrow will be better, that's what kept you to be saying, I want to go for another interview despite the challenges and everything.
Exactly.
So it's really an amazing story. And I hope it's actually encouraging somebody out there not to give up on whatever you actually believe in, because I can understand Nigeria settings, and there's a lot of no's. And sometimes you even get work that doesn't even pay your bills sometimes. And
exactly.
and this is somebody who has that kind of experience and still didn't give up until that final breakthrough. Actually so actually came in, and so this is someone who didn't give up. So I hope his personal experience stories, from the fact that the wrong decision of the parents. And in fact, I was thinking, when you were sharing your story, I was thinking in my mind that imagine if it's a different case if you had a rough background from the beginning,
well taken care of. So that's why I told you before I went to the long story that when people saw us years later and I told them we lived in Ikeja,
they felt like
Tell
me about a time that you've encountered failure and how you were able to actually preserve. How I think you've mentioned most of those your failures in your story, but can you give things that really helps you, things that because there's a lot of people going through depressions and everything out there, and a lot of people who have encountered failures and they just want to give up. Like they just want to give up. So what happened? What helped you to actually come back and you are who you are today because you never gave up? So what helped you?
There's a scenario I didn't mention, which I think this question is the right time to say it. At the point in my life, I almost attempted suicide.
Okay.
Life was hard. Life was shameful. It was tough for me. Nobody to fall back to. I felt what's the need living, what's the need staying alive? Why not just die? And it was at the Yanipaja bridge. The bridge was right in front of me. I was at Dokwemu bus stop. Is it Yano Dokwemu bus stop? So all I needed to do was, climb the bridge. It was that very busy hour when people were returning from work. So I stood at that point and I looked at the bridge. And I had imagined and painted myself just going there and jump down and end everything.
Wow.
God speaks to his children. Like I said, I'm a believer. This is Uchena's interview. So you're not asking me my project as student union president. You're asking me who I am personally. Yeah. So that point in my life, just as I remember nearly cutting off my brother's hand, I remember when I nearly took my life because there was nothing to live for any longer. I was not self-motivated. I was in secondary school. I was extremely bright. Like my position used to be among the first to fourth. I had won best student in maths, best student in chemistry, best student in physics, best student in English. I'm always a best student in one subject or the other. But as I started carrying responsibilities too early, earlier than the norm, at as early as 14, 15, 16, I'm thinking of what my siblings will eat when I should be just enjoying my life, playing around. So I think maturity came too fast for me. Responsibilities came in too fast, too quick. We'll go to the car wash to wash and make money. Then when I was in uni, I was asking myself, my first 100, 200 level, why am I here? What am I doing here? So we used to go to class. I would sit down. My classmates were doing everything they were doing. But I was just telling myself that I don't know what I'm doing here. So I was struggling to pass, and nobody understood what I was going through. Nobody understood my story. I was asking myself, why? And to make matters worse, fake pastors contributed to the horrible situation in my family. Because it was fake prophecies. That was one thing that spurred my quest to know God, because the picture that was painted for me was that God is horrible and God was a monster. So I used to ask myself, I used to say as a child, 13, 14, 15 years, I used to say, I want to know this horrible monster. I want to meet him one-on-one and ask him why he's horrible. Not to tell you that I've read the Bible back to back like 5 times, growing up in my life. Now, looking at it in context, and I found out that, God is not actually wicked. It's people who are painting their vexation, their inaccuracies, incompetencies, anger, frustrations, and behind, and using God in front. I said, no. There are a lot of... being a Christian, your life centers on your appreciation and understanding of God. That's how you function. if you understand God as a monster, you will treat people as a monster. There's no two ways about it.
Yeah.
If you understand God as a beast or an angry lion, it will reflect in your attitude. You can't hide it.
Yeah.
It will show, because that's your source. So I looked at that bridge that night. I imagined climbing it and jumping down. I had painted everything. As I was about to take the step, a voice just told me, if you go there and climb and jump down, who do you think you've hurt? Do you think you have solved the problem, or you've created another problem? The voice told me, what do you think keeps your mother going? So if you go there and you fall now, what have you caused her? Do you think it's about you? Life is not about you, man. The voice told me clearly, that's a selfish act. I said, I want to end my life, and you think that's selfish. But he just told me clearly. He said, that's selfishness. You're thinking about you. You're looking at you. Why not think of others? Why not think of how you can reach out to others? Why not think of how you can impact others? Why not think of what you can do? Why not think your mom and your siblings? Have you encouraged them, or you've set a benchmark, a target? You've now given them a new way to see or think of life. What about that one who might not be able to fight and resist that as an option? So you might end up just closing the entire family line because of your selfish act. I heard the voice clearly. I don't know where it came from. It's as I grew that I know that was God talking to me. He said, don't do it. That is selfish. Think about your family. Think about others around you. I looked at that bridge and I cried. I cried and I just spoke in tongues. And I went back home. That was when I traveled back a few weeks or few days from then, and I didn't come back or collect money from my mom. What has kept me going? I believe my past, I'll quote Pastor Chris Onainka. He said, I don't know if you know him, he said, what you need to survive in this world is faith and common sense. You know, sometimes I don't know how people see believers or Christians, but having a proper understanding of who a believer is it's faith and common sense. Faith is when you know when to pray, and common sense tells you that while you're praying and in your prayers, you need education, you need skills, you need to do the right thing. You're in the world, you act as the human. You are single, you need to you need to know how to get into activities, if marriage is your choice or not. You understand? You need to know how to deal with people. If you're working in an office, common sense tells you to respect people, respect boundaries. Common sense lets you know that extremism is way out of the place. So it tells you, it's faith and common sense, it's together. It's not a two-way thing. Then, in my own interpretation, I'll say prayer and patience, the two P's. Patience lets you know what you should do while you are praying. Patience lets you know that you ought to understand that you are in the world system. You have relationships to deal with, just as I've explained in faith and common sense. You know how to love people. You know how to respect and respond to people. You know how to take active steps. You don't come into the office and say, I'll be praying all day when you should be working. You'll be fired. You know when to do what you're supposed to do at the right time. You know when to speak and when to keep quiet. You know, that moderation, that balance. So that is what has kept me. That is what has sustained me. That is what has, pushed me. And it has gotten to the point in my life where I don't care what you say or think, not in the negative, like you should be attentive, you should be responsive, to your environment. But if you're saying anything degrading or anything that doesn't add value, I note your opinion. I focus on myself and what I want to get done. So I don't know if I've answered your question.
Yes. One of the things I learned about life is the fact that everyone has one problem or the other. And, what people actually think is that when you know God, when you're a Christian, things is
you're exempt from challenges. No.
Things will be easy.
I mean, you're in the world of challenges.
Yeah.
Being a Christian doesn't exempt you from challenges. In fact, it exposes you to challenges. It's just that what it does is it builds in you tolerance and perseverance. It builds in you attitude. It makes you resilient.
Patient,
makes you strong.
Yes. So you are not exempted from problems at all.
In fact, you are in.
So when those things comes, it's not left to you to just keep calm and timing. And I think another problem is people try to compare their time.
It's just like the analysis I made with Google Map.
Yes.
I came to the UK and then I became student union president. It's not an opportunity I got while I was in Nigeria. That's why I'm always grateful to the University of Bolton for that global platform, they've given me. Think years back and think of the opportunity now. You understand? Everything is time.
Yeah, it's time.
You just need to be patient. Patient, the right word. You need to be patient even while you are in praying. So was I patient and just paused my life? No. I was going ahead with my life. I was making progress in my career. I was doing excellently fine. I was able to raise money, put money together to come to the UK.
So those things you need to do, you were doing, that you just relax and you felt things will change.
No.
Yeah.
You change things by your actions and your attitude. That's why I said faith, common sense. Prayer, patience. If prayed, patience lets you know that put the work. Put in the hard work. Prayer doesn't exempt you from working. Prayer makes you work. In fact, prayer makes you do the hard work. Actually. So, I mean, keep going. Sometimes, looking at my background, I could wallow in asking myself, who should I look up to, or who should I depend on? Or I could choose to be that one people will depend on, which means that I need to put in the work. I need to put in the work. Nobody left an inheritance for me, but I want to leave an inheritance for my son.
That's the spirit, So you could have chosen to be the one that people will, self-pity and I think that's the problem. A lot of people,
it's a bad thing.
So they just die.
I suffered from it too, but when I was in school one time and I needed money to go home, for 2 weeks I drank Gary. This Gary stuff we do in Nigeria. For 2 weeks, I thought I would die because of 3,000 naira to go back home. 3,000 naira to go back home. I was praying. God touched one of my uncle's heart and he sent me, is it 3,500 or so? And I was in the next bus. I think that was my 100 level second semester. I was in my next bus and I ran back to Lagos. But grind. I made a post one time. It's learning. I'm not saying anybody should take my word for it. You understand? Understand your circumstance and your scenario and find resilience somewhere. I said depression is a choice. And my friend attacked me. She told me, you can't say depression is a choice.
No, it's a choice.
Depression is not a choice. That some people might... And it now brought me to another analogy where somebody said, let me paint two analogies now. Let the viewers just... What I'm trying to say is not tell you what you should think, but how to understand your scenario and find resilience. And that scenario where depression is a choice, somebody now says poverty is a choice. Is poverty truly a choice? That's a question to ask. Because if you say poverty is a choice, what happens to having a government where you depend on them to make things right so that wealth is equally distributed and you have selfish people in that position? So automatically, it's not your choice to be poor. Factors will influence things that will either make it difficult for you, tough for you, hard for you, simple for you, level playing ground for you, easy for you. So, is poverty a choice? Is it a product of influence? Is it a product of some factors, circumstances and situation? Is depression a choice? Is it a product of factors, influences?
Yeah, I guess.
So, for the audience, I'm not asking you to think or say as I think. I'm just trying to tell you that in these two different scenarios and pictures that I've painted, you can find resilience in one.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine at that time where we used to peel egusi to survive, living in a house, owing rent, or sleeping in my dad's restaurant on top, the table. I thought life would end for me in the park in Nigeria, loading bus. As a child, I used to say, is this where life will end for me? In the bus, in the park, loading bus. But instead of concluding that that's the end point of somebody, why don't you strike that thought in someone? I used to remember one of my uncle, even my boss then in Nigeria, used to tell me, it's my prayer that you're greater than me. I mean, it inspired me one way. It was not him giving me millions of naira or dollars or pounds, but he used to always tell me that thing. So it's important wherever we find ourselves, always inspire people. You don't know what people are going through. Some people don't have the capacity to find resilience in their situation. But your voice, that's what being a Christian is. I mean, that's what being a believer is. As a believer, your source is God, and all God offers is life, not harm, not death, not evil. You understand? So wherever you find yourself, actively or passively, be that voice that will help somebody find resilience. The moment you find resilience, trust me, the moment you find resilience in your situation or circumstance, you are a constant propelling force.
From what you said again, I find something that is actually striking, and it's happening very well in Nigeria, and the fact that taking responsibility early, I think that's one of the things that is really, really happening in Nigeria, and it kills a lot of people's emotions.
It kills your morale.
Yes.
It damages your emotions.
Yeah.
It just it makes things.
Yeah, I think it's just this our generation that is trying to say, okay, my child must not go through what I've gone through.
Interestingly, I was talking with one of my friends who is British, and I said, I just want to have one son. He said, why do you want to have one child? I said, I just want him to have the best in life. I don't want him to suffer what I suffered. He now told me education is free in the UK. He now reminded me that I'm being open-minded, I'm being sincere. It could be that maybe some of the things that formed my decision is my upbringing. So even though I'm in a place where education is free,
you're still scared.
I'm still thinking, no chances. You know, I mean, I can afford having 3 kids. I can afford taking care of them. But it just shows that somehow your upbringing becomes a constant struggle. You are always reminding yourself not to live by. It's hard.
I think it should be stopped too. Like giving a child responsibility that is beyond their age is really not okay. You know, it's really not okay.
Being an adult before you become an adult.
It's not okay.
No, not at all.
Seriously. Okay, so I think second to the last question. The fact that as SU president, I'm sorry, I had to just go back.
So this is now professional. So I have changed seats and I've worn a new hat. So, bing! This is now Uchenna Victor Moses, your student union president. No longer Uchenna Moses personal interview.
I get.
So
because
back
as a president, there are some things I get.
Back to formality.
Okay, so as the SU president, because I know by June now there will be a new president, and to be sincere, I wished that I've known you, before now. Because we have just how many months left, and which I've known you. You're a really amazing person. And your wife, seriously, I'm jealous of your wife. Okay, so my question is what has been your experience so far? What has been your experience as the
Amazing. I had an interview with one of the contestants on Sunday. So she asked me, what has been your best project? I said, when I think the last one I did
good?
is my best. Another one happens that becomes my best.
Yeah.
But well, my inspiration would be the things that led me to take up office. First, the university is doing massively well. Students don't read their email. I mean, it's a challenge. Students don't read their emails. I don't know why. I wanted to, put out those things the university have, offer, services rendered, right in the face of the recipients, the students. And secondly, I wanted to embark on, initiate, projects that targets mature students. When I say mature student, I'm not saying international students alone. We have mature home students as well.
Yeah.
We have students who have to juggle with family and education, work, and everything together. And sometimes what interests is an 18-year-old might not be what interests a mature student. So some activities or things you do, that sounds thrilling to 20 years old. When you bring it to somebody who has pressures of life weighing on her shoulders or his shoulders or their shoulders, they just look at you, have fun. They're looking at, it's just like that's something for my 20-year-old. So guess. And in doing this, I must do it with learning alongside. These were the things that triggered me to say, okay, no, I need to come forward. And that's why if you see the kind of activities and initiatives that with the help of students, and the management of the university, Professor George E. Holmes, that man is a fantastic man. Things that I just get done easily as student union president on emails, are things that people have to do campaign for in other universities. I'm so happy. Life is easy here. Sometimes I'm focused on the project more because student representation is simple. So I'm not spending time in getting one email answered. The emails, I get a response that day. Somebody from senior management gets back to me to say, Victor, Uchenna, how can we help you to get this resolved? Or sometimes they walk into my office and say, thank you, how do we need our help? Life is simple. So for me, that has been it. The Bolton Leadership Conference, first of its kind, I had the support of the university, the staff, the union, the students. Fantastic. The trip to UK Parliament and this European tour. Amazing one. In fact, a lot of students want it to happen again.
Yeah.
Just like we were discussing when you came in. I've not opened my WhatsApp because when, admin, when, it's just too much.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of courage to have put up that trip. Serious planning, months of planning and activities, coordination, putting everybody together, touring 3 countries with 15 students, 15 group, and coming back to the UK, mixing learning, fun, engagement. So the inspiration for me have been the support I received and the support I am willing to give, that community and service attitude. So I've really enjoyed my time.
Next question I'm going to be asking you is the fact that I think this is more personal. I don't know.
So it's back to
Uchenna
Moses.
No. It's
okay, back to SC President.
Well, I think it's Uchenna Moses. I don't know. It depends on how
you ask the question. Yeah. The transformation will happen.
Yeah. So now, what is your aspiration? Like SU president.
Okay, my aspiration.
Like do you just want to? I know you are leaving the seat very soon, actually.
Like I wasn't on the seat before I came.
Like, do you have any other aspiration? Like, is there any higher seats that because I don't even want you to go. Like, I don't want you to go like that. Is there any higher seats than that you can? I don't know.
Well, life is simple. Where I was in Nigeria before I came, I was like the only person that gives a final approval aside myself is the MD. So most things don't even go to his decks. I give the approvals from my decks, except for ones that maybe have high legal implications that he should be aware of in case he's confronted, or let's say we are going for a high negotiation bidding and a warrant that maybe circumstances might not allow me to be there to place the defense, having gone through the preparation of the project plan and all the rest of them. I have to let him know. Or in some cases where the finances are way beyond my approval, it has to be me. So I left there. Someone else is occupying the position, and the person is doing fine, and I'm enjoying my life. So I think the first thing for me was I enjoying my life before I came in? Will I still go back to enjoy my life after I've left? I think the basics first. Every other thing will fall in place. It's what has guided me. It's good to be ambitious, you understand, but it's good to enjoy your life in the process. Yes, I have huge aspirations. It's my ultimate goal to get into project management, continue in that aspect. It's my long-term goal to work in the UN. It's been a dream,
my dream place.
It's my long-term goal, and but in the meantime I can just enjoy my life while I put in the work as well, while I'm praying.
Okay.
So this role, my attitude towards this role shows my attitude towards life and every other thing. I've taken this role very seriously. I mean, I had the option to just stay within attending meetings, student inductions, briefings, probably my regular chat and update with the VC, and do other things that I should do. I should have done it, but I'll spend months planning on a trip that will make students happy, improve their experience, give them opportunities. I'll spend months working on a student parliament, which will be sitting soon. Spend months planning a trip to UK Parliament, sending emails back and forth with the MP, doing all those things. Spent month and time putting up the Bolton Leadership Conference. These were things that I wasn't or I'm not mandated to do. But I made promises before becoming president. So I think for me, the process and the attitude are more important. The outcome will be there definitely if the process and attitude are in place. So I'm not afraid of what tomorrow holds. I am certainly very confident that opportunities abound.
Oh my God. I hope we are going to do Sensefort for you anyway. Like, we are going to do party for you. Okay, so the final question is what's your advice to everyone out there? What's your advice to everyone listening or watching this video, when it comes to life, the achieving of goals and every other thing? What's your advice?
Faith and common sense. Prayer and patience. Most importantly, what are the 4 words I've just said now? And then find resilience in your peculiar situation. Situations differ. For some people, it's marital challenges. For some people, it's educational challenges. For some people, it's career. For some people, it's money. For some people, it's access to one thing or the other. For some people, it's poverty. For some others, it's health. For some others, it's mental. For some others, it's peer pressure. I mean, there's an endless list of challenges. Find resilience, and you will be on your constant journey out of that predicament. You will know how to manage it in such a way that it doesn't hit you. You always make the best out of it. Bolton Leadership Conference was born because my application to go for a fully funded scholarship in Spain was turned down.
Wow.
But then a mighty event happened. What if I had gone to Spain? I would have considered that a success. But the more success, the greater success was Bolton Leadership Conference, not my trip to Spain. I went to Spain later on. So I would have just gone there, take pictures and videos. But that would have been me. No impact. I wouldn't have been able to reach anybody. But I have done more global impact here.
Yeah.
That will speak for me forever. That Spain event wouldn't have spoken for me forever. It would have ended up in one small experience in my CV. But Bolton Leadership Conference is something that I can speak of and brag about all my life. My first and second Schengen application were turned down. Did I give up? No, I didn't give up. Today I've guided over 20 people to get their Schengen visas. Same thing happens all around life. Some people, it's one application and they get a job. For some others, 200 applications, 500 applications and they get the job. Find resilience in whatever situation you are. The rest is your success story.
Thank you very much
Thank you
for
so much
this
for having
amazing
me.
time. Thank you. It means a lot. And thank you to everyone watching. Thank you.